It will need to be noticed that global politics continue to happen in terms of chess game, where the top continue to be dealt with rather than the ground. The real matter, the real politics should deal with the ground, not ground with the top, because that is how it is. Because that is how it is. Because the idea is to bring people that are crafted, professionals, that have integrity, capacity to deal with social issues, with problems in the society, and they deal with the problems in the society. Because the problems are within the society and among the people, among the randomly generated people living on certain territory. They will need to be organized, they will need to be managed, they will need to be handled. When you impose chess politics, the ground handle the top. That is completely like the problem is on the top, but the ground is completely clean and it is like godly level, like completely angels walking out there. Well, excuse me, it is not like that. Well, it is not like that. Well, it is not like that. When we manage humanity, well, we manage humanity. It's not humanity to manage the managers of humanity. Your chess politics does not make any sense. And it will need to stop. I would not blame Russians exclusively for it. It has been found very much in England, as a matter of fact, very much present among English aristocracy. I don't know from where the idea is that Russians are playing chess. Most of the time, what we can notice that most of the time Russians have been actually writing books and daydreaming. But, and yeah, they have produced one of the biggest ideologists on the planet. That's logical when you think Russians. When you think chess playing, that would be rather aristocracy of England. Let's get here straight. Aristocracy of England continue to be a very strong platform on the planet and continue to be, regretfully, part of the problem, not part of the solution. Well, I'm getting the impression that they continue to be associated with the ground on some kind of normative absolute correctness, some kind of blind nationalism or supreme nationalism. Well, they're taking their entire nation as absolutely correct and everyone else wrong. That is why supreme nationalism or Nazism will always be pointed out as a negative force in the societies in general, because they go under such assumption. They suppose that all of the people of their nation are correct, and they go on defending them without any criteria or boundaries, like a bunch of animals, like they're penguins or something. And then the rest of the people are all wrong and all not good. But they are always the best. Although when you come here, you're far away from getting that impression. People are neglected, completely uneducated, totally not managed properly. Well, that is what is neglected. And can hardly compete on any international scale with any other country. Now you might, to the end of the days, repeat to yourself, we are the best, we are the best, and we are the best, and we are the supreme, and we are the supreme, and to believe in that, but the fact on the ground suggests that you are profoundly wrong. I'm not going to take credit for your prime civilization, that you have been leaving it all unhandled and left neglected. I'm not accepting responsibility for anything that is happening on your grounds. Why anyone else would accept responsibility for what was under your control 100%? Everything that it is to be found here is completely and absolutely your responsibility. And you are far away from calling yourself supreme nation. That's for sure. Now, next to that would be on what ground we are supposed to accept now that you continue to play that chess in global politics as you are God of the planet. In political terms, that is what England continue to think of themselves. And As a matter of fact, they certainly have developed enough missionaries out there and infrastructure to conduct such operations. Today we are going to post this question. Is it the playing chess on top of political stage the best you can do? England. So because this entire planet exists within some kind of genetic configuration which starts from individual to family, from family configures into nation, from nation configures into a planet. It will need to be noticed a couple of things or phenomena, therefore, that would be in relation to the entire planetary population. And that is that everything starts from individual. Individual is one of the main characteristics of our protocol human individualism. And so number one mistake that an entire global population is making is gathering on collective levels. And each time forgetting how the history goes. That is mistake number one. We continue to have that kind of impression that collective gathering is enough to get somewhere. And most of the time you end up in blinded war making where it's never clear why the war started and who is the real winner, who was really playing the war and who is the real winner. You continue to fabricate the outcomes of Second World War, so I don't bother reading anything about Second World War because it is completely fabricated. You continue not to enclose what kind of capitals exactly were financing the Third Reich of Hitler. You still continue not to disclose what capitals were sponsoring the German war, the Germans starting the Second World War. What exactly capital was sponsoring the entire adventure? And who was backing it all of the time? With first-hand information and that kind of supreme presence on the ground. That was not one nation event. That was alliance. That was alliance, which at the end pulled back and left Jesus, the latest Jesus of the field, Hitler, to take the entire blame. It's classical scenography of 2 millenniums using Jesus. Classical scenography. Hitler in last century was the clean case of what the entire Jesus platform is about and why we have to notice today that it is emerging as entire religion out of the monarchical, central monarchical platform of the central ancient plateau. Which again returns us to noticing the actual configuration of the entire phenomena human population, and that is individualism, individualism, individualism. That is why I'm pointing out temple dimension, temple dimension, temple dimension. Not just because of the monuments and because of the history and because of promoting tourism, but because of its ongoing event. And it's always going to be ongoing event. The events are happening at the point of individual mind, individual aspirations, individual drivers, and then the collective start using that driver in one way or another. Collective then start investing, and that is how you get Bitcoin in 21st century. You will need to understand, therefore, how the entire humanity functions still as some kind of hypnotized ball. And no, I'm not going to excuse you on parameters of graphic design because you are doing it that self-conscious, because you are imposing active consciousness in behaving like that, because you are actually thinking like that, you're gathering like that, you behave like that. You don't sit home reading books or trying to understand things, questioning things. You go out there, gather, and you spread you spread your fake news or get fed by fake news. Easily can be set up as a collective, easily can be manipulated. as a collective easily can be used in whatever form and shape as a collective, because you continue to think if 10 people in a group think in the same way, then it must be correct and I'm going to accept it. That is how the crowd think. And it is very easy. That is why it is very easy in any country to go and make revolution in just a week of a time. People can actually get in a country and make a revolution, uprising. They can do that in 1 week of a time. Because that is how the collective behave and continue to behave like that. And the lecture should be learned once forever. The collective is not force of anything, but of a disaster. The recommendation: do not get specific. Do not get specific. Keep it general. Human rights, blah, 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 national movement, such kind of stuff. Get informed and exist as a citizen in a state. But to make a movement, it takes much more than what you possess, most of you, on average level. I just demonstrate here what it takes to make a movement. You're not going to tell me today that you're surfacing me from your collective nonsense. Because it's not happening. Just forget about it. It's not happening this time. It is not going to happen your ways. You're going to park yourself aside. Bring national flags. Bring national declaration. And stay still. That's all you can do. Just stay still. And stop acting like a bunch of sheep out there. Because that is what sheep is. The collective thinking. The sheep is collective thinking. Sheep is not Mary Lambie. That's one Lambie. That's not sheep. That's a wolf. That's a wolf because it's alone. I'm bringing a case to Supreme Court of the United Nations about how leadership has been treated on this planet for 2 millenniums. I'm bringing this case as a leader versus populace versus general population. Today, I'm bringing legal case and I'm suing the general population in the way how they end up to behave. What we are going to notice here that monarchs also tend to, especially in England that's the case, tend to align with the general movements because they are very nice people and they do whatever they're going to be told by the people, but then they stand out there and make a picture like they are leaders. Well, actually, they are a bunch of lambs. That is also collective lamb platform. Total lamb platform, smiling as a lamb because the lamb want to be fed for another day. And want to be given for another day a circus platform and they are just, as true as it looks alike. And they're being fed with it as well. Yes, fed with it. They are buying it, they believe, and they continue to be marionettes and to allow crowd behind their back to do whatever they wish on the planetary level. Accepting to be faced that you are not. You allow the general population behind your back to continue to be the most reckless nation on the planet. It is correct that the format would go from individual to family to society to state to nation to planet. But what is the critical momentum here? The individual, the central point, the vertical point. It's always going to be critical momentum. Always is going to be preceding critical momentum. What kind of individual is going to precede in given time? Individual, what kind of idea, what kind of context, what kind of teaching, what kind of principle? There's a question why we need to be equal, same system. Well, we don't have to be same system. But if one system exists as a capitalism and the other is a socialism, then one is going to be the slave for another. It doesn't have to be same maybe on the specifics. But on some general levels, if you are going to report a state out there as a nation registered in the United Nations, you need to be all legal subjects. And we all know what it means to be legal subject. It means you don't lie, you don't steal, and you don't kill. Well, excuse me. That is what it means. So how we are going to play the game? Or as a humans, I would suppose. And message to Saudi Arabia that continue to align Serbia via my father and via Nikola Tesla. Neither Nikola Tesla, neither my father have been first born in a family. In both cases, the firstborn went dead. In my case scenario, I am the oldest child in the family, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia to be notified that I am the oldest child in my father's family. My verdict for today. I'm listening too much of someone playing nonsense out there in my family as some kind of Middle Eastern pipe in format of the other side of the equation being in-laws of my husband. This is getting very personal story. Saudi Arabia is all pipes around me. It's time to stop. It's going to be launched, it will need to be launched full investigation on suspicion that Saudi Arabia is actually selling our genetic material to the world, because it cannot be avoided to be noticed that the entire American society has been built out of genetic material of former Yugoslavia. And obviously that was not as of yesterday. And it might be, we talk about larger region here. Saudi Arabia continue to be lavishly wealthy, and I'm afraid that the oil trading is just a cover-up for what is the real story here. And one of the reasons why there is still ongoing very strong inclination towards keeping the oil-driven vehicles is because there is such big story behind it. And that is the genetics upon which the entire new world has been built. That is Australia, New Zealand, USA, and Canada, including England and good part of Europe, is based on genetic material of our territories. While we continue to be the poorest countries in the region. Literally the poorest. So if the pyramid went upside down, that is how it went upside down. Exactly as I just described it. That is, the Saudi Arabia is not the top of the pyramid. Our territories are the top of the pyramid. Saudi Arabia is on the other side of the equation here, if we are going to use that kind of reference. Although basically we talk about complete switching of positions here, or what is the top and what's the bottom, what is the richest and what is the poorest nation in the world. It is yet to be confirmed what kind of oil, therefore, Saudi Arabians are exporting. I doubt that it is anything to do even from oil under the ground. I think that the entire concept is complete sham and cover-up operation. I'm calling the planet to engage directly in investigation of the entire matter. I'm going to repeat again to Saudi Arabians. I am the oldest child in my father's family. And I am the writer of my work, first hand. Needless to say, since I have mentioned family members in front of the entire planet, is with diplomatic immunity granted, because they would attract planetary attention and they would not be in position to sustain it. So on both sides, family members are under diplomatic protection. That does not include their right to the employment. If they have not earned right to be employed, well, then they should not be employed. If they are being employed, the employer is going to be responsible for the consequences of employing such people. Yes, that is how it works. All the way to Russia and to wherever. And to Japan and China. Yes, that is how it works. I found you playing a pipe. I found you playing a pipe. And I'm sorry, but I have to say something. It's not that I am interfering in or I have ambition to interfere in domestic affairs of any nation, which would be outside of the platform I am developing here. But I have to notice here, when it is in question presidency of Russia, what kind of logic exactly that is. I mean, you have two people out there orbiting on that throne, being Medvedev and Putin, and Russians are electing Putin. And following that logic exactly, when I'm leading this conversation for 15 years already. Excuse me, am I fool here or something? Or the ambition of Russians are to prove that I am complete idiot? Since Dostoevsky made such piece of work as well. Complete total idiot, and they are determined to point and to prove mathematically that that idiot is myself. I'm going to believe that that is what a majority of Russian population believe as we speak, that I am the biggest idiot on the planet and they're supposed just to stamp it. And also, can we establish, please, why Martha Stewart is reincarnating today? Who on earth is going to buy nowadays Martha Stewart books? And is it that a book that Martha Stewart is being now again on the top of the planet all about? Is it about her cooking book, or it is about some other book? I want my planetary team to investigate directly and precisely the entire Martha Stewart situation versus my book writing, out of which I have received just altogether 50 cents or $1.50. Yes, out of my book, the entire Fox television was talking and discussing it. Every single news agency is discussing my book and my work. But then Martha Stewart is cashing it out. And then Dostoevsky was writing a book somewhere in Russia called Idiot. It is about time that we solve that puzzle of Dostoevsky. Artians. To all of the West lands, I have provided already my price offer, my invoice. Britannia. I have asked for Britannia, the West lands, the way how to repay this saga of 2 millenniums of their journey on the other side of the coin. The price is Britannia. Not to be occupied, of course, to be equally reincarnated, as acceptable in the normatives of human standardization and civilizational standardization of the planet developed. Looking forward to use the territory for initial launching of planetary protocol, monarchy of Earth, and developing it further towards re-establishing it on the real grounds somewhere in Olymp. Although I continue to be convinced that West Territory does have enormously talented and intelligent people, and I'm afraid that our territories somehow are much more prime in that regard. However, we are looking forward in the future millenniums ahead, and it is in plan allowing the territories we have left behind to recover again to their initial glory. And if in some future time we manage to get there, it would be more logical to bring Olymp to the Olymp again. Of course, I'm not bringing Olymp in Britannia. It's going to be Britannia in Britannia. I will be reincarnating Britannia with my stamp there, which I would notice it is rather substantial. And it's going to be another question, where is going to be my home more prevailing, or where is going to be a home and the office. I think it is more something like that. Therefore, the real United Nations would be Olymp. I am inclined to think it was the sentiment of the previous times to be overexcited about America. America was the promised land in all of the time up till last century. Yet it was built very recklessly, uncarefully, very much as adventure rather than as a next test for humanity. And it became just burned out as just another adventure, regretfully. However, the population of the West continued to be enormously intelligent, talented, progressive. Let's not underestimate any of it. We need to continue. And going in Britannia initially for me is being a very reasonable person and allowing continuation to our civilization. But in the same time, it would be wrong to assume that I am there to surrender the idea, the intention in this agreement I'm offering, this negotiation I'm offering, suggest it would be about something different. It would be about using the territory, England especially, to completely reset the 2 millenniums of wrongdoing and setting the planet in upside down mode. Therefore, will attract substantial political work on planetary level, and it would be England. I wouldn't touch Scotland or Ireland. I would prefer to keep them as some kind of national parks. But England would be, will need to be playing its temple platform. It is being indebted because the civilization orbits very much still around English-speaking territory. So the intention is to use the land for this work of resetting the planet. And to hold everyone on platform intelligence, responsibility, accountability, which I think we're all up to that level. And there is no need to be predator or to jump over someone else's platforms. I mean, personal belongings and rights and things like that. So that's the price I'm offering to West. Because what we are going to find with Martha Stewart is going to be very much about the entire stamp of Western civilization, especially USA, England, and entire Western Europe, all the way to Poland, and beyond all the way to Russia. We talk about enormous conglomerate of the yellow population that got themselves a bit confused how this game should happen. The centerpiece of that motherboard is USA of America. The bill is on the way. How you are going to pay? Last century, two socialism revolution and devastation of Russia and China. How you are going to pay it? Your answer is not my answer. Your answer is your answer. Be careful. Overstepping is not in the promise.